What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. We are back on Spooky Night. Now, one thing, I'm actually watching this on the big screen this time and not on my laptop. But there's going to be some, this time, the conspiracy theories and creepy videos are going into the realm of sports. Now, this is supposedly 14 minutes and 22 seconds to be precise, of NBA conspiracy theories by 2-3. Let's jump into it. Now, again, I think the biggest conspiracy theory I've heard so far in regards to like the NBA was that there was some behind the scenes stuff going on for Luka Doncic to get traded to the Lakers because they want LeBron's first season with his son to be a championship winning season. And so I guess they thought Luka would be enough to pull that off. But who knows? Like I said, I'm not a sports guy, so I wouldn't know. Well, let's jump into these conspiracy theories and see what they have.
Of NBA.
And mainly what I'm looking for is like, if these theories, first of all, if they're true, and if they are true, or if they aren't true, would it be creepy if they were? That's the mindset I'm going with. Let's do it.
8 theories. Derrick Rose was gifted to the Bulls. It's 1998. The Bulls just win their 6th championship. Michael Jordan retires for the second.
I'm sorry, I have to pause here, but I was in my living room. My mom, my sister, my older brother were all in the living room. We were all watching this game. Yeah, I remember when Michael Jordan crossed this dude over for that game-winning shot. Again, you got to keep in mind, this is why I consider Michael Jordan to be the most influential ball player or the greatest of all time. To me, and I always say to me because everybody has their own opinion, right? But when you can get someone like me, who is the only sports, like I said, the only sports I'm interested in, X Games, golf. I know, shut up. Look, golf is boring to watch, yes, but if you know how to hit the ball, like I learned how to hit the ball in golf, and it's a ton of fun to play. But golf, tennis, you know what I'm saying, volleyball, those are my type sports. Not football and basketball. I was more of a video gamer, like I am now, a gamer. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't even play sports video games unless they were like Tecmo Bowl, NBA Blitz, NBA Game Day. You know what I'm saying? But when Michael Jordan was on, bro, it was like a spectacle every time. Like, that dude, again, in my opinion, he changed the way the NBA was perceived to the whole world, in my opinion.
In the seasons after his retirement, the Bulls missed playoffs, 3 more missed playoffs.
Yikes. So right after he won this one, oh, this is right after his championship win. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They missed 6 playoff seasons? What? Wait. There's 82 games in a season, right? Man, them some horrible records.
A first round exit, a second round exit, and another missed playoffs. So just complete after Michael Jordan retires. But then 2008 comes along, and the easily projected number 1 pick in the draft, this dude, Derrick Rose, out of Memphis. But more specifically, out of Chicago, Illinois. Simeon High School, the same high school as Benji Wilson even. But the thing is, his hometown team, the Bulls, they weren't that bad this season. They were the 8th worst team, with an 81% chance at the 8th pick and a 1.7% chance at the first pick. So he'll probably end up on a team like the Heat are the Sonics, except David Stern doesn't give it. The Bulls got the first pick with less than a 2% chance. And for the first time since the most famous player ever retired, the global icons, the Chicago Bulls, they got their guy again. And it's the hometown kid. That's the theory. The Bulls were handed their hometown superstar to try and revive the franchise that died the second Michael Jordan retired. But I looked up a mock draft while researching for this. Number 1, Bulls, Derrick Rose. I want to start this out by saying this pick is a huge mistake. The Bulls seem locked into Rose, and as a fan of divisional rival Pacers, I could not be happier that this is the way they're leaning. Idiot. But then even worse, number 2, Miami Heat, Michael Beasley. Michael Beasley is a hybrid of so many players past and present, and is as much of a sure thing that we've seen in the draft since Tim Duncan. Alright, I'm gonna be honest, you might never meet a bigger Michael Beasley truther than me. I think the guy could average 30 in the right system, but this is crazy in hindsight, reading.
I don't know who Michael Beasley is. I don't know if but I will say this, Tim Duncan was really good. So if you compare him to Tim Duncan, he must be pretty good.
This dude's mock draft. But to make it worse, number 3, Minnesota Timberwolves, OJ Mayo. Personally, I have Mayo listed as the second best player in this draft, right behind Beasley. Alright, do not let this guy draft. But next theory. The Luka trade was a setup by the NBA. This theory is broken down into a bunch of different parts. For starters,
before I say this, I don't even watch, like right now, the only thing I watch with the NBA are highlights of the games. So, and they're usually like 10 minutes long, and they have the highlights from like the first, second, third, and fourth quarter, and they show who won the game. And at the end, they show everybody's stats. You know what I'm saying? But every time I see Luka, I hear about Luka Magic and Luka this, and how Luka got the Mavs to the final. I mean, to the playoffs, and how he's a phenomenal player. And so when he got traded to the Lakers, I was like, why would Mark Cuban trade Luka to the Lakers? But when I looked it up, they said that Mark Cuban doesn't own the Mavericks anymore. So I don't know what's going on there.
NBA, their most popular, most marketable franchise, the Los Angeles Lakers. Well, their best player is turning 40. Their other best player was like 31 but constantly injured. So the theory says that the league had the...
And by the way, on the Derrick Rose thing, I heard Derrick Rose was extremely explosive and near impossible to guard until he got hurt.
Dallas Mavericks send their 25-year-old superstar to that franchise. So they don't become the joke of the league like they were before LeBron got there. There's a lot more money to be made when the Lakers are good versus when they're not. So Luka makes 5 straight All-NBA first teams, just carries the Mavs to the finals as a 24-year-old. Then they ship his off for, granted, one of the best players ever in Anthony Davis, but the guy literally can't stay healthy. He's played in 20 of the 45 Mav games this season. This trade turned out to be this.
Hydrogen bomb for a coughing baby? That's messed up. Because what if that coughing baby grows up to be a trillionaire? I mean, but of course you got to live long enough to benefit from it. But hey, still, I always wondered why. Because I saw a meme once where it had Anthony Davis. And it said Anthony Davis was debuting his new sponsored shoe, and it was a foot cast. And I was like, I guess it's a growing thing for this dude to get hurt on. He for some reason he's always getting injured, and I was wondering, like, is it because he's a big man? But like, you didn't see Shaq get hurt like that, you know what I'm saying, that much. At least I didn't see him get hurt that much, or Tim Duncan or David Robinson or Dikembe Mutombo and them. You know, I don't know what it is with Anthony Davis. But the only thing I have known him for is getting hurt. So, I don't know.
So step 1 of the theory is get the Mavs their superstar for the next decade. Step 2 of this theory, get the Mavs the first pick. Of course, the Dallas Mavericks, with the 1.8% chance to get the first pick, the 11th best odds, a 78% chance they get the 11th pick, they end up...
Hold on. Are you telling me that the team with the worst record in the league only gets a 14% chance to get the first pick of the draft? Or am I reading this chart wrong? I don't know. If you're a sports fan, let me know.
Best odds, a 78% chance they get the 11th pick, they end up with the first pick 4 months after trading Luka. Got it. So what's step 3 of this theory? Well, the plan is to have the Mavs suck. Why? To have their relocation to Vegas easier. This right here is the Las Vegas Sands, a luxury hotel. The person who owns this is Miriam Adelson. She happens to be the same person who owns the Mavericks. So the theory says that if the Mavericks suck, especially after the Luka trade, a lot of Dallas residents will lose interest, and it will make their relocation to where her other businesses are extremely easy. Plus, the Vegas Golden Knights just went there, the Las Vegas Raiders just went there, so who knows. But this theory is kind of insane, but if the Mavericks end up in Vegas, maybe we're looking at something real. I don't know.
So your theory is she traded Luka Doncic to make the Mavericks lose and be hated by Dallas so that she can easily move the team to Las Vegas because that's where her other businesses are? That seems like an awful lot, right? Why, if you own the Mavericks, why can't you just move the team to... I don't know, because like I said, I don't know how that type of stuff works in the NBA. But I just assume, like, if you own the team, you should be able to just move it anywhere you want.
But after that, I want to talk about this one. The NBA purposely suspended Draymond in 2016. The theory goes back to the...
Wait, I think this is the year that LeBron did the impossible with the Cavs, right? And... well, not the impossible, but did the nearly impossible, coming back from a 3-1 deficit to win 3 games straight.
2016 finals, specifically game 4. There's about 2 minutes left, and Draymond and LeBron get into this little shoving, hugging, 4th grade wrestling kind of fight. And you watch all this, and honestly, I feel like most people would say it should be a technical, maybe a 2-way tech, but weirdly, he was given a flagrant. You go back to some of the comments, there is no way this should have been a flagrant foul. 516 likes. As much as I hate Draymond, that did not look like a flagrant to me. Wow. Going back years later and watching this foul wasn't even equivalent to a love tap. Shaking my head. The whole series changed on that play. So a lot of people don't think this was a flagrant foul, but looking at this one, the whole series changed on this play. How? Well, the NBA has a flagrant system.
I was just about to ask, how did the whole series change on this play?
Flagrant 1, 1 point. Flagrant 2, 2 points. Tough system to understand, I know. But getting that flagrant 1, this means Draymond got his 4th flagrant point of the 2016 postseason. And when you get 4 flagrant points, you get suspended for a game. Which means Draymond was suspended for Game 5 of the 2016 finals. So it makes sense, but where does the conspiracy come in? Well, a lot of people thought this was an insanely weak flagrant foul, so they get Draymond suspended and potentially extend the series. I mean, the series was 2-1 at this point, it was about to be 3-1, 2 minutes and the Warriors were up 10, and Draymond was actually balling out this finals. Game 1, 16, 11, 7, 4, and 1. Game 2, 28, 7, 5, and 1. Game 3, 6, 7, shut up, and 7. Game 4.
It's funny because I was just about to say the same thing. Because I know the generation today going to pause 6, 7. I was about to be like, yo, shut your mouth. But he did it for me, so I didn't have to.
9, 12, 2, 4, and 3, and a suspension. Game 6, when he came back, 8, 10, 6, 1, and 1. And Game 7, the best game in NBA history, 32, 15, 9, and 2. Yeah. Draymond actually did that in Game 7, but everyone forgot because LeBron and Kyrie literally became Batman and Robin, or Michael Scott and Dwight Schrute. But yeah, the theory comes down to one.
Michael Scott and Dwight did carry the office. I have to admit that. They carried the office. Jim was the more annoying character to me because if he'd have put my stuff in Jello like that, I'd have took it out the drawer. Especially with Michael Scott as the boss, he's not going to fire me. You know what I'm saying? So I just take it out the drawer and smack him in the face with it.
One thing basically, money. The NBA extended this series on purpose for financial gains. Because more games, more money. And honestly, if this theory is true, thank you, Adam Silver. Gave us the greatest series in NBA history. But after that,
why would you call that the greatest series in NBA history if they rigged it so that the Cavs could come back? Like, if you knew it was rigged, how is that the greatest series in NBA history?
I want to talk about another insanely popular theory. The 2006 finals was rigged. For this one, we got to go back to 2006. Surprising, I know. But this is the finals between the Miami Heat and the Dallas Mavericks. So early in this series, Dallas goes up 2-0. But then, the Heat win the next 4. And look at this. The leading scorers for each game. Game 3, Wade, 42 points. Game 4, Wade, 46 points. Game 5, Wade.
Did he say, am I tripping? Did he say 46 when it says 36 up there?
$42 points. Game 4, Wade, 46 points.
Yeah.
Game 5, Wade, 43 points. Game 6, Wade, 36 points.
So, D Wade scored over half the Heat's points in just about every game.
And that's really cool until you notice Game 3, Wade, 8 free throw attempts. The Mavericks shot 18 free throws as a team in this game. The Heat shot
Yeah, he messing up his own things here, but D Wade shot 18 free throw attempts. He had 18 free throw attempts. So that's 36 points. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, 36 points. The Heat overall had 34 free throw attempts. So essentially the refs gave them these games in free throws.
34. Game 4, Wade, 9 attempts. A blowout game though. But Game 5, 25 free throw attempts for Dwayne Wade.
What?
The Mavs shot 25 as a team. The Heat shot 49.
Yo, how did no one, like, it? Well, I guess, like, my question would be, how did no one call them on this? Like, call the refs on this? But it seems like the refs, like, the league might have been, so the league, there's no way Adam Silver, whoever was the one in control of the NBA at the time, didn't know this was going on. You know this. Dwayne Wade had more free throw attempts by himself than the same as the Mavericks' entire team.
In Game 6, Dwayne Wade, 21 free throw attempts. The Mavs shot 23 as a team. the Heat shot 37. Now, I'm no mathematician, but something seems off with these. And what you're watching in the background is just some plays where Wade gets fouled. Dallas was the first team in decades to lose the finals after leading 2-0. Or how about look at this specific foul in overtime in Game 5? That should have been a flagrant. Eject that man. Even 20 years later, Mark Cuban came out and said that the refs beat them in this series. How about this? Let's run through some quick facts for this. Dwayne Wade shot 97 free throws in 6 games in this series. Wade shot more free throws in 6 games than anyone in a playoff series history, including Wilt Chamberlain, who intentionally got fouled because he sucked at free throws. 97 free throws by Wade alone through 6 games is more than LeBron, Steph, and Klay's free throw attempts combined through 7 games in 2016. Imagine if Twitter existed at this time. I'd feel awful for these refs. But the reason this rig would even happen in the first place, the same as everything, money. Let's read this. The NBA wants more viewers and revenue. Big games with star superstars tend to draw bigger TV audiences. The Heat featured the young star Dwayne Wade, plus Shaquille O'Neal, and the Mavericks had Dirk Nowitzki. A dramatic, extended finals might attract more attention and higher ratings than a quick series sweep. Sheesh. Also, a few years after the 2006 finals, Tim Donaghy was caught rigging games, so a lot of people linked that back to this. And at the end of the day, this series gets extended, more money gets made. And the Mavs are part of another controversy.
Wait, so the referee got caught? Like, he actually got caught rigging games? Yo.
For the last one, let's talk about the Grizzlies were forced out of Vancouver. So in 1995, the Grizzlies joined the NBA. 2 Canadian teams. The Toronto Raptors and the Vancouver Grizzlies were the expansion teams. And let's just look at the Grizzlies' record in their first 6 seasons. Season 1, 15-67. Season 2, 14-68. Season 3, 19-63. Some improvement. Good job. But season 4, 8-42.
Wait, why did they only have 50 games played? Like, I thought it was an 82 game season.
Season 5, 22-60. And season 6, 23-59. That's the team that was just added to the NBA. But right here, actually, in 2000, this guy, Michael Hazley, he buys the Grizzlies. And originally, he says he's going to keep them in Vancouver until 2001. They moved to Memphis. It took the guy a year to snap. But the thing is, a lot of people think David Stern pushed the Grizzlies out of Vancouver. Why? Well, the Grizzlies, when them and the Raptors first joined the NBA, they had a weird agreement. However, expansion franchises Vancouver Grizzlies and Toronto Raptors were ineligible for the number 1 pick in their first 4 years.
What?
Through the 1999 draft. As well, for the number 2 pick in their first 3 years and the number 3 pick in their first 2 years. Resulting in Vancouver receiving 0% odds despite the league worst 14-68 mark. This is a weird rule, especially with the fact that the Charlotte Bobcats were immediately allowed to get the top pick their first year. Just weird. Another thing, it's money. Obviously, the Grizzlies lost a lot of money as an organization in Vancouver. The weak Canadian dollar at the time meant revenue was reduced when converted to US dollars. Attendance declined significantly in the final seasons. Okay, so they suck, they're not making money. The team's attendance was 13K in a 19K person capacity arena. The Raptors, on the other hand, around 1999, they made the playoffs and were averaging 19,000 people attended at each game. Oh yeah, and the Grizzlies, they drafted Steve Francis, 2nd overall in 1999, except Steve Francis publicly said he didn't want to play for the Grizzlies. And they'd have to end up trading him to Houston before.
What is wrong with you? Like, they had to have been giving him millions, right? to play basketball and you decided you didn't want to play? What?
Where he even played a millisecond in the NBA. And of course, why wouldn't he? He'd end up winning Rookie of the Year. So the theory really goes like this. The Vancouver Grizzlies, they were an absolute mess. People claim David Stern in the NBA restricted the Grizzlies from ever being competitive early on. They claim David Stern wanted the franchise to struggle, so it would eventually leave Vancouver. Possibly because the league preferred the team in the US for business reasons. And also, the second their new owner looked to move them, 6 years after they entered the NBA, Stern was more than happy to have them in the USA. Congratulations, David. Anyways, if you...
Alright, so it seems like most of these theories are based on, like, money. You know what I'm saying? But the one with Draymond Green, I don't know. Like I said, I'm on the outside looking in, but I've only known Green to be a dirty player. So my question is, why you got 4 flagrant points in the first place? You know, like, I remember that one season when that one playoffs where he was kicking people in the junk, and he punched one guy in the face, stomped on another guy. He from what I understand, he's a dirty player. So now it is odd that the first 2 games he balled out, and then the next couple of games he didn't ball out again until game 7, where he had the best game he possibly could. It's almost like the refs were like, any move you make, try and play well in any of these games, and we gonna hit you with a tech or a flagrant or something like that. All right, next video. Alright, now this one may take a bit of a darker turn. I don't know. This may take a bit of a darker turn. But this one's called Former NBA Player Exposed How Demonic the NBA Can Be. Now, one thing from what I understand, some people were saying that LeBron James has a demon tattooed on his body, for one. And 2, the little thing he does where he puffs the powder in the air, supposedly that's a demonic ritual as well. But I don't know. Let's see. This is from More Black Balloon. Let's jump into it. And to be honest, like, whoever this NBA guy is, this NBA player is, he's been in the league, so he would have more insight than, most.
Alright, y'all. We back with another video, man. Y'all already know what's going on, alright? Now, after taking a little day off.
Is this AI, or does he really have this tattooed on his body? Like this triangle thing here. And this weird, like, what?
I came across this clip, right? Now, I know we do a lot of videos on the NFL. We do a lot of videos, NBA, sport topics, especially since the movie Him came out and so on, right? So I saw this short clip that was recent. I think it might have been an interview done a couple of days ago from a former NBA player named Trey Burke. Now, a lot of you NBA fans, you're going to know who Trey Burke is, right? In the clip that I'm going to show you, he said something.
I have no idea who this is. But I wonder why all these NBA players always had these tattoo sleeves. Like, what's up with that?
Very simple. But he talked about the doors that some of the higher players, the superstar players, took in the NBA. And he said a lot of the stuff that they do is demonic and dark, right? Something that we already know. And when I saw that clip, another clip popped up. You know, you watch something else is gonna pop up along that topic, right? And it was from a creator on TikTok I've seen before. And it was talking about Derrick Rose' injury being fake. And I think that injury was back in 2011, 2012, something like that, at the peak of his career, right? I said, all right, we got to talk about this because I've never talked about Derrick Rose, but a lot of people have talked about this theory, even dating all the way back to, what's dude's name? Rashad Jamal. He even talked about his injury being faked as well, right? Now, I just recently was talking about it with the NFL and the rituals that they do, lining up injuries to be the same as an injury that happened 20 years ago. You know, we just did a video about this topic with the NFL. So we know they create rituals around injuries, right? Now, in Derrick Rose's case, I fully believe as well that this injury was not real, that it was faked for deeper purposes. Now, a lot of people think, hey, Derrick Rose didn't do the rituals. He didn't do this. He didn't do that. So they had to fake his injury and, you know, basically stop him from being as big as LeBron. Or if you wanted to be one of the biggest players in the NBA, you had to go through with the sacrifices. You had to choose.
I will say this. I don't know how true this is. Right? Because one, I don't know why you would, and maybe he's going to explain it soon, but I don't know why you would fake an injury. I don't know why you would fake an injury that severe. You know what I'm saying? Why would you fake an injury that severe? Like, and not blow up from it. You know, because according to what he's saying here, because Derrick Rose didn't do some of the other stuff that bigger stars were willing to do or sacrifice in order to be big in the NBA, they had to fake an injury for him so that he would not be as big as like the LeBrons, the Wades, and so forth. And I'm just like, if that's true, I mean, it's an interesting theory, but I kind of wonder, like, that's kind of a stretch to go to for a what is essentially what's the, I forgot what they used to call that in those frat parties and stuff, hazing. Like for a hazing ritual, that's kind of, I don't know.
One of those doors, whether it was going to be, you know.
Oh yeah, but the one thing I was gonna say, I'm not sure about this, but one thing I do know for certain is that there are famous people, and then there are people who are like globally renowned, globally recognized. And me personally, I feel like you do not get to that level of global status without doing something ritualistic. And those people do not spontaneously become that popular. Like music artists and movie actors and producers and directors, they don't get that famous just because. There's a marketing machine behind it that will, and I forgot the name. There was that one lady that played on Moesha's, on Brandy's show, Moesha. She was the big lady that always tried to get after that one guy, and he didn't like her, but she liked him. I think her name was it Monique? But if you like, if you go down that rabbit hole, there are some celebrities who are, were big in the 80s and the 90s, but are being blackballed now because they would not do certain things. You know what I'm saying? And the weird thing about it is like it's not just like big movie producers and stuff. It's people like from what I hear, it's people like Tyler Perry that's blackballing folk. You know? And what's that dude named Kevin Hart? Supposedly these people are blackballing folk. But one thing I do know, I don't even know if that is entirely true. But one thing I do know is true. You don't get as famous as like LeBron James just for playing basketball. And I know that because there are basketball players who are way better than him who are nowhere near as famous.
Something zesty or something, right? You got to choose one of those doors. Now, I think he did choose one of those doors at first, but he didn't continue with it because I just don't feel like no man is going to get a giant triangle tattoo in the middle of his neck and then pick Godspeed over that triangle. Now, obviously, after that injury, Derrick Rose continued to play in the NBA for a long time, but he never reached the peak that he was going to reach, and I believe that injury was faked to stop him from doing that. Now, I want to play this short clip as well when I think he was on the Matt Hoffa podcast where he talked about escaping out of the circus of the NBA that I thought was very interesting. So, without me talking too much, as I usually do in the intro,
here's something that's something interesting because didn't what's the name say the same thing? Kyrie Irving, didn't he say the same thing when he was like, I didn't leave Cleveland, I escaped Cleveland?
Let's go ahead and jump into this clip. That being said, check this out.
Before, it was kind of just about basketball. Let me just see how good I can be in basketball. You know what I mean? But once I found that deeper purpose, it made me kind of understand life at a deeper level. And I'm still on that journey to this day.
Yes, sir.
I'm still on that journey. And I think athletes need to know that. It's a lot of athletes out here that just want to make it to the NFL, just want to make it to the NBA. You got Instagram, Facebook. You got so much distractions, and they just looking at the lifestyle, but they don't know what's going on inside of a person. They don't know what's really going on.
Man, you made it to the league, bro. It's the whole, like, they don't put the emphasis on it. I feel like we should get because it's
1%.
It's a prestigious fraternity, bro. Like straight up, it's not. It's just something that ain't easy to do. So I commend everybody.
I look at it like everybody in the world who ever played basketball wanted to go to the NBA, bro. Every kid from every state, from across seas, everything. And some of the people that got to do that, bro. It's a small list, bro. It's 1%, bro.
So I'll just
Dude, Michael Jordan got to sue a company in China for trying to infringe on his shoe design. Now you tell me, how big do you have to be able to go over to China and stop a company from knocking off your shoes? Like, I'm telling you, this is how, again, I'm not saying this is 100% fact, but this is just how I feel. You don't get to be that big, right? You don't get to be that big without at least being propositioned. Because it is possible that someone would come up to you with a proposition that is dark in nature, and you turn them down and you're blessed for it. But you don't get to be that big, man. But and I'm not trying to deter people from being actors and actresses, and music artists and stuff like that. But I mean, the stuff is coming out now anyway. You know what I'm saying? But these music and movie producers, man, they are in a dark place. And they expect you to do something in return for the fame that they can manufacture for you. Every sports person I talk to, just about, there are a few that don't, but just about every sports person I talk to says that LeBron James' fame was manufactured by the NBA, and he's nowhere near as good as what the NBA portrays him to be, like calling him King James and all that stuff. And then you look at the fact that, like, I was told the stats that his son Bronny James was getting in high school and college. And in my opinion, there's no way someone with those type of stats should be in the NBA right now. But he's not only in the NBA, he's on the Los Angeles Lakers, which, as the dude said in the previous video, the biggest franchise, one of the biggest franchises in the NBA. And he immediately gets picked there. I'm telling you, man, it's... Now, there's another video, I don't think I'll be able to put it in this one, but there's a video of a guy in Africa, there's a preacher in Africa, who claims that, you can look it up if you want, but he claims that he was in an interview, and he claimed that LeBron James, the reason he's still in the NBA right now is because the time for him to come up with a sacrifice is at hand. For the people that made him as famous as he is, he claims that that time has come to where he has to, repay them for what they did for him. And so it apparently, according to this guy, it's gonna require a life of some kind. And he's like, he said that LeBron doesn't want to retire because he knows once he retires, it's either going to be him or one of his kids or somebody in his family that's going to have to, become the sacrifice for all the fame and fortune that he got under the powers that be, quote unquote, umbrella.
I feel like it need to be more respect on the guys who they don't look at as the so-called superstars. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
because it's so much going on, bro. Like, and I don't even want to get into all that, but a lot of, like, bro, like.
Now, that's the one thing I don't like. Is when somebody says, dude, like this guy, he's saying there's a lot going on, implying, okay, there's some things you don't know about the NBA, but I ain't going to get into all that. Well, then why'd you bring it up, bro?
Some superstars took a different route. I'm gonna be real. Mm-hmm. Like, some superstars took a different route, and I ain't get on here to talk about that much. But some of that come with some demonic shit, some dark shit. You feel me? Yeah. Some of that, it get real.
This dude just said the S cuss word like 7 times in 5 seconds. Like, are you serious?
So I appreciate my journey. I appreciate my career. I appreciate my legacy, as I also stood for a lot, and I took a lot of hits for who I was as a person too. Like, I don't talk about the situation a lot, but I ain't get, bro. I took it real. I went through a lot with that. You know what I mean? In Dallas, after I really established myself in Dallas.
They held that against you?
Yeah, and I
was about to say, didn't they do that for Kyrie as well? I think Kyrie had an issue with the vaccine, the COVID vaccine, and they wouldn't let him play for something like that.
I don't really get into it a lot on camera because I still respect that organization a lot, bro. That organization did a lot for me and my family.
See, this is why this is one thing I don't agree with. I don't care what somebody or some organization does for you when you're in the fog of war. Or, in other words, when you have no idea what's going on behind the scenes. And let's say, for example, if I were to try and win a Rocket League tournament and I was sponsored by Darkness to Light Corporation, and that's not a real corporation, that's just something I made up, and they pay for all of my trips to the tournaments, They pay for my hotel. They pay for my flight, food. And then on top of that, they buy me a house with the top of the line computer equipment so that I can train on Rocket League every single day. And let's say they were paying me $6 million a year. And for 2 years, I was on that crew until some better players came along and they kicked me for the better players, right? And I'm just like, well, I done got my 12 mil anyway. But if I turn out and find out, this company is trafficking humans and drugs and weapons, and this was all a front, well, that's a bit extreme because the NBA. Well, I don't know if the NBA is trafficking people or not, but that's a bit extreme. That's a bit extreme. So I'll just use his example. If you find out that people in there, like the NBA is offering bigger players demonic rituals in exchange for fame and fortune, that's not something you should respect. I don't care how much money they gave you. That's not something you should respect. I don't care how much money I got from playing in the NBA. If I knew that they were offering people he ain't mentioned no names, but if they were offering big stars, like dark activities in exchange for fame and fortune, I would not respect that. I'd be like, nah, they were doing this, bro. They were doing this, and they were, and yeah, you are gonna have to make sure that you're willing to die to get that out, because there are some people that are doing some things that they are willing to kill to prevent folk from seeing, because if people knew about it, it would destroy their business. So yeah, you do have to be willing to die to expose evil. But I would never respect the NBA if I knew they were having people do demonic rituals and stuff.
I love the Dallas Mavericks, but I think it was bigger than the Dallas Mavericks. It wasn't just the Dallas Mavericks that held it against me. It was bigger than that. It was a whole agenda in place for anyone who didn't conform to getting. I decided not to. I got kids. I had to explain to them that I just don't. Yeah. I don't agree with, anybody telling you to do something that go against your will, go against your belief system.
Now, who you just heard, that was Trey Burke. And, his opinion on it is valid for sure. He is a very good ball player at Michigan, very good in the NBA. He's been around it. He's seen it all. And it just confirms it when another person comes out and tell you, with a straight face that this stuff get wicked at the top. I mean, we already know. You think about James Harden, Kevin Durant, LeBron, Steph Curry. You think about all of these players who have amassed, millions of fans, even, close to.
Steph Curry took one of the demonic rituals? Yo! That explains why Steph can make them half-court threes. He gave his soul for the chance to make threes from anywhere on the court. That explains it.
Billions of dollars. I mean, Steph Curry is worth like $300 million. We know LeBron is a billionaire.
Yes, but to be fair, LeBron is a billionaire for more than the NBA, right? Doesn't he have his own movie producing company? He kind of went the route of Michael Jordan. Like, Michael Jordan's a billionaire, but not because of NBAs, because he got multiple endorsements from like Nike and all these other places, and then he moved that over to like food. He got Ballpark Franks. He got, if I'm not mistaken, Michael Jordan was the one that patented the tagless tees. So any company, any clothing brand that has tagless T-shirts, they have to give Michael Jordan a cut of that money. You know what I'm saying? And then he went and he got a dealership. So like, I'm pretty sure LeBron went and did the same thing. He's not a billionaire straight from the NBA. It's endorsements and stuff too.
Bootleg symbol tatted on his chest. You know, these players chose that door. Derrick Rose was on his way to being at that same level. And you have to know that it was not just an injury that kept him from getting there. They forced him to fake that injury.
Now, I'm not telling anybody how to make their content, but your argument is very shaky right now. And I will say this. One, at the very beginning, you said you were going to convince the viewer that Derrick Rose's injury was fake. You just got through saying a couple of seconds ago it was not just his injury that held him back, but that his injury was fake. So which one was it? Was his injury fake? Or did he really get injured? Let me see if I heard that correctly.
Same level. And you have to know that it was not just an injury that kept him from getting there. They forced him to fake that injury. You don't want to play along. You're not going to see this type of money. You're not going to end up being this type of player that you could have been. I mean, he would have been, man, Derrick Rose is like bigger than Jordan in Chicago. I mean, he's actually from Chicago.
Let's keep it a buck, right? Not even LeBron James is bigger than Michael Jordan. So I doubt Derrick Rose was bigger than Michael Jordan when he was playing. He was probably considered to be the next in line simply because, you know, he's on the Bulls like Jordan was, you know, and he was doing his own thing. I don't think he was bigger than Michael Jordan, though.
You know what I'm saying? Like, he's Derrick Rose. They look at him as like the savior in Chicago. They don't even think about Jordan the way they think about Derrick Rose in Chicago. He would have been huge. So, look, I'm going to play this clip real quick from Derrick Rose talking about the circus in the NBA, all that good stuff. Then we'll come back and we'll get into this other clip as well, actually, maybe before I come back. But anyways, check this out.
Who's the Grim Reaper?
Explain.
You have the Grim Reaper on your arm.
No.
To be the Grim Reaper.
No, it ain't that.
So yeah.
Yeah. So I love magic. So my favorite magician was like Houdini. My name Pooh. I conflated Pooh and Dini and put Pooh-Dini. So it was some kids. I was in high school when I got the tat. You know what I'm saying? Like some shit like that. And I ended up doing some shit like that. But that's what I mean, being a part of like what you were just talking about, being a part of the Matrix. I didn't shake out of that until after I got hurt. So a lot of people may look at my story and be like, man, he's the biggest what if, blah, blah, blah. You right. What if I didn't get injured? What? I wouldn't have found myself. I still would have been a part of the circus, bro.
What is the circus?
I mean, going along with the act.
Break it down, because okay. You got into that, yeah.
All right, let me just tell you.
Right.
The circus. Only looking up that's on Instagram that they feed to you. Mm-hmm. That's the circus. Mm-hmm. Where it's like, oh, Black history, you learn something about Black history, and it's like, oh, I'm about to look this up now. That's the Matrix.
Yes, Derrick Rose, man. He refused to keep selling out, participating in the rituals. This is exactly why he was forced to sit down with that injury, bro, when they made him fake ACL tear, bro. That happened because he didn't want to keep on participating, so they forced him to sit down. This is how these industries all ran. Go watch the movie Him. They show you how you have to keep participated in rituals and sacrifices.
First of all, for the movie Him, right? The movie Him is about a football player. Marlon Wayans plays a guy who was a star football player. And this other kid, the main character in the story, he wanted to be like Marlon Wayans. He wanted to be a famous football player. And he actually got the opportunity to train at Marlon Wayans' camp. And while he was there, he found out that Marlon Wayans' character actually did some demonic stuff, like drinking blood and having blood transfusions and all this other junk. And turns out, and spoiler warning, if you want to see him and haven't seen it yet, skip to like the next 5 minutes or so, or the next time you see the video playing. But in the end, he's faced with a choice. Either you kill Marlon Wayans' character and become famous like he was, or you walk away. But they're not going to let you walk away. Right now that you know everything, they're not going to let you walk away. He chose to walk away, and instead of walking away, however, he kills Marlon Wayans' character, his wife, and apparently his manager was also part of the secret society. So he killed the manager and everyone else on the panel that was watching it all unfold. And so that was pretty much the whole thing about the movie Him. It implies that NFL stars have to do some really dark stuff in order to be as famous as they are. You know, that was the whole angle with that. But I have to...
The movie Him, they show you how you have to keep participating in rituals and sacrifices in order to get to the top. And you know, D-Rose didn't want to keep on do that, participating in that, you know, to get to the top. So he just sat down. I made a video of me talking about this before. You know, in the movie Him that just came out, is showing y'all the truth, bro. They showing y'all like what you gotta do in order to get to the top, bro. This is how this works in these music industry, all these industries, bro, sports and all that. It's not based on talent. Once you get to that position, it's based on how much you're going to sacrifice in the rituals you're going to participate in. So that's what happened with D-Rose, bro. Like, he just wasn't trying to keep on doing that. That's why he retired so early. That's why they made him fake his injury in the league, man. It's just deep, but it's the honest truth, you know. And this is important for people that, you know, thinking about trying to go to the league and shit like that, like trying to be up there in the high rankings. It's a lot of shit you're going to have to do now.
Okay, so he's just saying the same thing over and over again, just sprinkling in the S word anytime he gets to it. So I will move on. But one thing I have not seen so far, it baffles me just how filthy people's mouths are. And they're just nonchalant about it. You know? Yeah, I'm in some real S, dude. I mean, you gotta do some S to get where you want to get to, man. You know, it's some demonic S, bro. And it's like, here's the thing that's ironic about it. You're trying to call out demonic activity while you're speaking filthy, using filthy language. How are you going to say these people are demonic? Essentially, you're the pot calling the kettle black. In case you forgot, there's no sin going to heaven. And a filthy mouth is sinful. So ain't no sin going to heaven. Alright? So I calling out what these people are doing is one thing. But if you think that is somehow going to exonerate all your S-bombs and your F-bombs, come on, bro. Like, there's gotta be something else you can say besides, oh, this is some deep S. Yo, let me tell you about this deep S I was talking about yesterday, man. You know what I'm saying? You feel me, man? Like, this S is terrible, dog. Like, I don't even know. Like, this is some messed up S we in right now. And it's like, at that point, I don't even feel comfortable talking to you anymore. Because let me not say that, but come on, man. Come on now.
He didn't want to participate in the rituals. A lot of that stuff.
Another thing too, this seems to be a forced theory because Derrick Rose himself admits that he was injured in that clip. Unless you're saying that he's implying that he's calling it an injury with quotation marks, but it didn't seem that way to me.
Stuff goes over people's head. But I'll tell you one thing. If they're doing it in the NFL, they are definitely doing it in the NBA. And a lot of these first round number one picks go through these injuries. Rather, it is ritualistically done. You know, a lot of these first picks, they miss their first year and they go through these rituals. Derrick Rose was just another example. 2008, I believe, he was drafted first round, number one pick. And you're going to be put, and just a couple years later, he has that injury. And if you notice what he said after his injury, he found himself. He was able to see past the circus. That is very important to note because he's telling you without that injury, he would have just been just like anybody else. He wouldn't be where he's at today mentally is what he's saying. I mean, today.
You're assuming that's what he's saying because that's not what he said at all. One. Two, I did notice another thing he said, which was that he has always been into magic, which in my opinion is not necessarily a good thing. Now, if you talk, he mentioned Houdini, which is not, not any type of black magic or anything like that. But if you've always been interested in the arts, it's gonna lead you down that path anyway. But I was also gonna say you have not shown me any evidence that his injury was fake. You're just choosing to believe that because reasons at this point. Like, you've shown no evidence that he faked an injury.
Hey, he's still worth $100 million. So for the people that know basketball, you know what he really could have been in that world. He would have eventually been the face of the league and could have been contesting that with LeBron James. So his story is, it's pretty deep. And it's just like a lot of people was bringing up Ben Simmons under the comments of all the Derrick Rose videos, right? And people was like, Ben Simmons didn't sell out. But y'all remember when I used to do that Initiated series, I did a video in the beginning, which I always credited back to Black Child, because he's where I learned it from. And once, we started learning the handshakes and all the symbols and stuff like that, when Ben Simmons was drafted number one, first pick, first round, he also did the Mason handshake with Adam Silver, the head of the NBA. And then 2 nights later, after his first cousin, Zachary Simmons, attended his draft night, 2 nights later, he was hit at 3 a.m. by an all-black SUV and killed. So, it was people like, oh, Ben Simmons didn't sell out. He didn't do this. Ben Simmons sacrificed his first cousin to be the number one draft pick. I mean, you can go and watch Ben Simmons, his draft, and to the fraternity that night, they literally did the Freemasonic handshake when he drafted him. It was so on purpose. It doesn't get any more on purpose of the handshake that him and Adam Silver did. But just like in the beginning when Trey Burke said, he was basically like talking about the NBA being like an elite fraternity to get into. That's exactly what it is. And if you're going to get at the top of that fraternity with the Stephen Currys, the James Harden, so on and so on, if you're going to get at that top, you're going to have to do things. It makes me think about James Harden and Lil Baby. Why was they hanging around each other so much at one point? 2 people from 2 different worlds. Why were they hanging around each other so much at one point? It's either James Harden was Lil Baby's handler, or they had stuff going on between each other that they had to do. And they agreed to do it with each other. I mean, it just seemed weird that they was hanging around each other so much. Especially like that time where Lil Baby was looking froze and when they was like in France or Paris or something, and it like made that meme, BB, Lil BB, Lil BB. And Lil Baby didn't know what was going on, and James Harden had to tell him, like, hold on, they trying to take pictures of you.
Nigga, get back in. What? Come back. They trying to take photos of you. You Lil Baby, you famous. These people? Yeah, you famous. I'm famous? Yeah. Quit waving. Oh my Joe. Man, back up, man. I don't know what's going on, man. Help him.
A Prada bag because he proud of me. Full of honey buns. With a honey bun. You know what I'm saying? Man. They got serious, man. You hear me, man? I'm on the ground with a honey bun and a honey bun. You got two Richie, man? Two Richie one day, man. And he proud of you. Hey, he brought me a Prada bag because he proud of me, man. You feel me?
Prada bag because he proud of you. Yeah. Honey bun.
What is this supposed to prove? Like, you can't see anything. Like, what? I don't know. I don't get the angle with this last piece here with little Baby and James Harden.
They gonna have to catch up tomorrow.
Yeah, I know some of y'all gonna remember that little meme that was going on. It might have been like a couple years ago, but y'all remember they were buying each other gifts and all that kind of stuff. James Harden done did them rituals. He participated. You get your own shoe and you do all that, you with it. And
so it's not possible. It's not possible that James Harden could just, know. It's not possible James Harden could just know who he is personally and they could just be friends. Like how Dwayne Johnson and Kevin Hart are friends. And what's his name? There are people like it would be a different story if you were talking about like how recently streamers are getting people like John Cena to come on their stream, and there's been a lot of NBA players. Matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, there was an NBA player that let a group of streamers use his mansion for like a month-long event. And for some reason, one thing I will say is there is something weird going on in Hollywood. That is true. I do believe, I will say that's true because I don't have information to prove that other than the testimony of all the actors and actresses that are coming out saying what happened to them as kids and all this other stuff. So I feel like there's something weird in Hollywood. I also feel like Hollywood has shifted into content creation. There's way too many top tier actors and actresses, music stars that are showing up on streams for it not to be like some type of merger going on here. And if weird stuff was going on in Hollywood and they'd merged into content creation, then some weird stuff is going on in content creation too. But unfortunately for me anyway, I am not convinced that Derrick Rose faked his injury because you showed me no evidence to the contrary except you repeated it multiple times. The clips that he showed was just a dude saying it multiple times. He faked his injury. He didn't want to do the demonic S. So he faked his injury. He had to fake his injury so he wouldn't be as big as the other superstars. If that were the case, he would have picked up right where he left off when he came back from his injury, right? If his knees were never damaged, then he could have come back just as explosive as before. He's not gonna fake his explosivity or his physical prowess when he comes back, right? I feel like this theory doesn't hold weight. So yeah, that's my opinion on it. Do I think that I did learn something though. I did learn something. One, I do feel like the NBA, they're now having to manufacture their superstars because they don't have the Jordans and the Mutombos and the Magic Johnsons and stuff anymore. So now, you know, you gotta have people you gotta have people shooting 25, 30 free throws a game and refs fixing games in order to make things entertaining. Because you didn't have the Michael Jordan that would fake a jump shot and palm the ball in one hand while his defender turns his back to him completely. You know what I'm saying? You don't have Kobe doing the fadeaway Kobe kick and swishing in people's faces anymore. But I did learn one thing. I learned how Steph Curry is making all these threes. That man done sided with the darkness in order to make these 3 pointers. They even mentioned it in this video. So they said for Derrick Rose to get to the Steph Currys and the Kevin Durant's, you know what I'm saying? And Kevin Durant, man, I used to watch Kevin Durant up until he started calling himself a god. That's a terrible sign. When a human being starts calling himself a god, that's a sign that there's some stuff wrong. You know what I'm saying? So I just stay away from that. But as far as Steph Curry is concerned, I know now that man is in league. He probably got a demon like carrying the ball to the rim every time he shoot. Because I'll be seeing him make some shots that just don't make sense. You know what I'm saying? So that explains it. But yeah, that's going to be it for this video. I think I will explore at least another layer of the iceberg later tonight. So yeah, I'll be back then. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. And until next time, you guys know what to do. Stay blessed.